All right, guys, ready to roll. So, practice report, 4 DMPs, Tolly with the ankle, Alvin with the knee/ankle, Chris with the back, and then Justin Reed with the knee. So we'll just let all those progress. We'll see where that takes us. And then other than that, today was a good day. Hybrid practice where we did some full speed and then transitioned into some walkthrough settings outside. And so good day and ready to roll.
Did Tolly re-aggravate the ankle from the game?
Different ankle. So, yeah.
And what about Chris? Maintenance, or did it get worse?
Yeah, I mean, it's a back, so it's going to get, you play a full game the way he did. Obviously, it's going to be sore, and so he's just navigating that, and so we'll let that progress. Obviously, he's doing some good, though.
And do you have anything further on the prognosis for Justin Reed?
Justin, just a knee, so we'll see. We'll see how this thing progresses this week.
Obviously, it hasn't reached a point that you put him on IR immediately. So
It's not an IR thing, but we'll just kind of see how this thing goes.
Clarify, is it the same ankle, different injury, or is it different the other ankle?
Tolly?
Okay.
Yeah, just the other ankle. Just came up in the game.
That sounds like obvious, but is there any kind of tactical or whatever advantage of just having Tyler be in this position, so as opposed to Spencer starting to the first side against Tampa?
Just his experience playing them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tyler was able to play the back end of that game, so he got some exposure. It was challenging circumstances. We were behind a little bit against Tampa, and so definitely some stuff to watch on that film. It's be a fun battle. This is a really good team. Obviously, they've played well this year. I think our team's growing and getting better each and every week, and so it'll be a lot of fun to play a division game on the road.
Have you seen growth from Tyler from being thrown in there in the third quarter to now having started 4 games?
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler's done a nice job. I think he's progressing well. There's highs and lows in every game for every player on our team, for every person a part of this thing. And so I think Tyler's progressing well. I think he's grown each and every step of the way. And I think last week was, again, going back to last week, I thought was a great example. We didn't start the way we needed to collectively. There's a lot of challenging circumstances in there. And his resiliency showed up in that game to give us an opportunity towards the end. And so a lot of great experiences to learn from. And so he's continuing to grow.
Sure, that make the opening 53-man roster. What does it do for you as a coach to have a guy who kind of stays patient, waits his turn, and kind of works his way into the position he's in?
Yeah. Well, first, we loved TB. It's a 53-man roster. We really saw him, view him as 54 then, because he was ready to go from the beginning. And so he's just the ultimate pro, the ultimate vet, lead by example. He's always ready and prepared. His season's, I think, a perfect example of that. He plays these limited snaps and these kind of secondary auxiliary roles on defense. And then when and then he shows up and he makes the play. It's the one snap a couple weeks ago. It's the big play against the Giants to break up a pass on the flea flicker. Obviously reps all of a sudden increased this past week, and he's ready to respond and has a great pass breakup in the end zone. And so he's just a really consistent veteran, smart football player that you trust at a really high level.
So, can you put your finger on any reason why the ground game's kind of consistently hasn't been able to get going? It's like 7 out of the last 890 yards.
Yeah, I think it's obviously something that collectively we got to find a better solution there. I think part of it is I think it's the extreme sides of it. We got to avoid the negative, the zeros and the minuses, and then we got to find a way to generate the explosives. And that explosives come from every aspect of it. It takes all 11 to be on the same page: the perimeter blocking, the pursuit, obviously the ability to run the football and make a play. And so I thought we got settled in there as this game went, got 4 and 5 yard gains. Now we just got to find a way to create some of those explosive ops.
On that 2-point play, is your correction on that, do you spell the run, hey, when you hit your line, stay on it? Is it a quick, easy fix, or?
Yeah, I think the trick of it is you're doing a 2-point play from the 7, and so there's a little bit of, you got to get enough depth to give yourself an opportunity. So he was trying to be as subtle as he could, build as he went, so that when he catches it, hopefully he can get into the end zone. And obviously you look at it, and we'll continue to evaluate that one as far as if you're in a 2-point play from the 7, what different situations you can present. The guy made a really good play. He undercut it and took a chance on this play. Obviously, if the ball gets completed over the top in any way, he's not going to make the play. But credit to Minka. He made a phenomenal play.
And then on the first one, do you like to build in 2 free options? Is that just kind of like when you get down to that area, like the one where Tyler ran it in,
Yeah.
like you have the play to the left, the route to the back, like, you can run it. Like, do you like the quarterback to have like a menu of things, like so that there's theoretically always something there?
Yeah, we just felt like it was a really clean play for us based off some of the stuff we had done and seen on their film. And so essentially it's a movement, it's a play action. The running back's going to protect the edge for the quarterback. And so he's got Vay running across the field and he's got the ability to run it. And the Y technically ran a route kind of late. And I think that was a key part of it. That kept the corner occupied. And so that was just great instincts by Tyler, just reacting, trusting it, and just, okay, I can outrun this and get it done.
When you guys are talking about team building, going back to kind of what I was asking about the wide receiver one on Monday, like, do you guys talk about it in those terms, or is it just, this is our X, this is our Z, like, how does that kind of factor into there as you guys are making a roster or talking about long-term plans or anything like that?
So as far as the receiver room, I think everyone's got to have a starting point. So naturally there's X's and Z's and slots. That's a starting point. But I think one big important part of our operation is just making sure these guys have the ability to, play in multiple spots. And so, you got to be a really smart player. You got to be able to do that. Again, the more you have versatility, the more it allows us to, move Chris and move Vay and some of these guys and put them in different positions. And especially when you get into matchup football and, if you put a guy in one spot the entire time, defenses can kind of, make a call, make an adjustment to, roll to his side at all times, cloud his side. It's just easier. We got to make the defense work if they're going to do those sorts of things to, potentially a Chris or whoever it may be.
Is there anything specific that stands out with Devon that took a while for him to get a grasp of since it was a new team that he has in recent weeks been doing really well?
I think we saw him really with a really good future for us, when we brought him in, and so he was banged up when he got here, he was kind of banged up, and so we're kind of navigating that for a couple of weeks, and then as we kind of built it, and then I thought his experience with the system and ability to handle all the no huddle, which is a little bit of a component that you got to kind of memorize a lot of things in a no huddle setting, and so he's done a really nice job of kind of preparing himself and putting himself in position that once we made a couple of receiver transactions, obviously it became pretty obvious that, all right, he's going to play a ton of snaps moving forward. And he's I think in many ways the ideal Z receiver because of his ability to do a lot of the dirty work in the run game, which that position naturally requires in some run stuff. Off that, you got a lot of play action stuff and, the in-breakers and the, kind of the contested catch world that a Z may play in a number of times. And so he's done a great job.
How did he play? Primarily Z, a lot of Z. How heavy was his Z last year?
I think he played a little bit of that and a little bit of slot, and so I think, I always think of Z's and slots as kind of intermixed. Those guys got to be able to move because you can play in and out of those two positions. The X receiver tends to be a little bit more of an isolated one-on-one player. That's just the way it rolls. And so, really, if you look at our stuff moving forward the last few weeks, really Chris and Vay are the two that are kind of moving, within the structure of the formations, and those guys got to play intermixed.
What have you thought about Quincy Riley and just kind of having developed over the course of this year?
Yeah, I think that you just see the consistency show up more and more, and so I think he's just been a really steady player. He's got great instincts in the passing game. Obviously, he's attacking the football. He's got a history of ball production, which I think will continue to show up more and more. And so, for him, he's just going to keep growing, keep getting better. There's a physical component of this thing, playing corner in the NFL, that people are going to always stress you and challenge you with. And so he's got some great opportunities to continue to grow there. And so, but I thought he's done some good stuff.
Did y'all anticipate he like when you drafted him that if things kind of went the right way that he could potentially play a starting role for you?
I think you're cautious. We're optimistic that he'd be able to contribute in some way. I think during training camp, you got some indications that this guy has some ability that he can play. And obviously he was coming in a little bit banged up, and so it took him a little bit for OTAs. Training camp, I thought he made some plays in practice. He seemed to make a pick. It felt like every few days and make a play on the football. And so. When his opportunity presented itself in this early part of the season, I thought he responded really well, and he's earned that consistent role.
I'm not really sure how to ask this, so I apologize. Is the mindset kind of following up on talking about team building, looking at the future? Have you seen enough, because it seems like some of the high moments for Tyler have been really impressive, that he is our guy in 2026 and we're seeing enough to feel invested in that? Or are these final 5 games crucial? Because where you are picking potentially, you may have to make a crucial decision on passing on perceived best quarterback in the draft or going with them.
Yeah. Tyler's doing an awesome job. Yeah, we drafted him, with the intent of continue to develop him and let him grow. And so I think he's just done an excellent job of taking advantage of these opportunities. We want to win some games. We want to play well down the stretch and put ourselves in an excellent position for the future with a lot of these guys. And so again, next year and all that fun stuff, that's for a different day. But we wanted to keep developing Tyler. We want to put him in an awesome position to be successful. I think he's done a lot of good, and so I'm excited about his future with us.
Last time around, you guys didn't face Bucky, or which stands out about him was back this time around?
Yeah, it's definitely shows up on film. Bucky's just he's a really big time runner. The explosive plays. I think that's the thing that shows up. He's a big part of this offense, and I think as much as all the other things that they can do, which is stresses you, their ability to run the football. If they can do that with him, it puts you in quite the conflict with what they have on the outside.
Y'all don't have a kicker on the active roster right now. What goes into that decision of leaving both those guys on the practice squad?
Yeah, there's elevation opportunities, and so it gives us the flexibility to play the numbers game. We're able to keep a few more guys up and protect those guys, and obviously we'll have to make the move for this week, and so we'll be good to go there.
Is the idea to keep going with Charlie? Are you going to make a decision?
Yeah, we'll go with Charlie. Yeah, Charlie will be ready to go, and so he did an excellent job last week, and we're in a good development phase with both these guys.
Apologize for not knowing this, but would y'all be able to, if somebody wanted to sign Charlie off your practice squad, would you be able to have right
Yes.
refusal date?
Yeah.
Okay.
Taysom Hill's touches.
Mhm.
I know sometimes it just kind of works out that way, but with the amount of work we got after Alvin got hurt and then the following game with Alvin out, I think he only did 2.
Yeah, probably only he had a catch on the sideline, 1 run. It's probably only the 2. Yeah. Yeah, I think this past game wasn't ideal for that role. We anticipated playing a little bit in heavier sets, and early in the game, the run game just wasn't working in the 22 and 13 heavier run game where he was going to be a part of that. And so we got to more air stuff. With 11 personnel, felt like the air stuff gave us at least some 4 and 5 yard runs. And so as a counter, moment to that, Taysom's reps probably weren't ideally what you'd want them to be, and so that's on me. That's on me. I think he's done an awesome job. You look at the 2 previous weeks, I thought he had a nice impact on both those games, playing close to 25 some snaps, and that's probably where it should be more often than not.